please welcome to the stage Jessica Stewart.
We were laying in bed. I was on my phone, probably on like Reddit or something. I think she was on Reddit too. She turns to me, "Do you want to have sex?" I don't look away from my phone. "Nope," I say. She sighs, rolling over to face away from me. She rolls back. "Can I masturbate?" I sigh. I roll over far away from her, bringing the covers to curl around me. They were floral covers. We bought them to symbolize growth and change in our relationship. "Can you just wait till I go to sleep?" This was not the first time I had said no to sex with my fiance. In fact, it was probably the millionth time I'd said no to sex with my fiance. Just gonna move that. This led us to a couple of nights later when we had gone to Salt and Straw for the night. We'd had those amazing lavender Coke floats. They were like so good. In fact, I think I called them orgasmic, which is maybe why she brought up the subject of me not wanting to have sex. We were in the parking lot of our apartment complex, still sitting in the car like sometimes we did. She took a deep breath. "I think that I should have another partner for sex." My heart dropped about 6 feet into the ground. Me and her had nothing against people that were poly, but we had always agreed that was not for us. We were the type of couple that stayed up late watching Netflix, crying over Queer Eye, and talking about what we were going to name our adopted children. We were not the couple that had me staying at home, probably crying while I knew she was having sex with someone else. She said, "I think we should talk about it at our Sunday meeting." Our Sunday meeting was a meeting we had started to have a good, productive conversation in the midst of all our arguing. I knew in the moment that she offered to have a Sunday meeting and talk about this, that our relationship was not going to last till the next Sunday meeting. But that's not where my story really starts. My story starts on April 17th, 1997. I was born. And I was not born exactly like everyone else. My reproductive and digestive organs were on the outside of my body in halves. And yes, that is as bad as it sounds. This caused a lot of complications, including the fact that I didn't really have a vagina until I was 16. This was because they couldn't make a hole last without actually having that hole continue to be stretched out. So when I was 16, I was supposed to have an operation where they would make a hole, and then I would have to use these things called dilators, which were these like cylindrical, basically medical grade dildos. That seemed horribly terrifying and uncomfortable to teenage me. The few adult female friends I had who had my birth defect told me that yes, it was horribly painful, but so worth it, they confided. So I had the surgery and I tried dilating, but it was, in fact, horribly painful. I put off doing it most of the time until I met my fiance. She was so hot, so wonderful, and I loved her so much, and I wanted to be with her in every single way possible. So I started dilating regularly again, nearly every night. I would dilate and I would text her at the same time. Not sexy text though, just saying, "You better be good." This obviously didn't work very well. When sex happened, it just wasn't good. When the moment finally came, I was so excited and it felt special, it felt intimate, but my nerve endings hated it. My surgery scars screamed at me, "Hey, we're surgery scars, please don't touch us." But they were all over my vaginal area, and all over my abdomen. There was no avoiding them. It was kind of like a horrible game of Operation. So this led me to post-breakup. I decided to give love another chance. I downloaded the app Her and started meeting random girls on the internet. One of the girls I met, Shannon, was super, super nice. I liked her so much. She was funny, she was hot, she was smart. We stayed up late one night watching Parks and Rec, and our thighs were touching, and our arms were kind of doing that like touchy touch gentle thing. It was so nice. I really actually didn't enjoy Parks and Rec. It was the first time I'd ever watched it, but I pretended to laugh because that's how hot she was. A couple days later, after our first date, she texted me, "Sorry I'm flirting so much," she said with a winky face. "I have a really high sex drive." Again, my heart absolutely dropped. That was a no. I did not want to have sex with this girl. I knew that immediately. I didn't want that in any shape or form. And that panicked me. As a disabled individual, I felt that I would be a bad disabled person to say that I didn't want to have sex. Disabled people, we are supposed to be sexy because the patriarchy wants us not to be sexy. So we are. We're so sexual and we have sex all the time and we have such a good time. But that wasn't the reality I was facing. Masturbating didn't feel good. Sex with people didn't feel good. So I decided, like many millennials facing challenges in their life do, that I would Google it. So I found a couple self-help books on the internet, and the one that I was drawn to the most was called Tiny Beautiful Things by Cheryl Strayed. In the book, which is amazing, Cheryl talks about the idea of breathing through realities you cannot face immediately. I really was drawn to this idea because all my life I've had a lot of realities, being disabled, being depressed, et cetera, that it took me a really long time to process. So I thought maybe I could process or figure out this idea of not liking sex by breathing it through. I took a paper bag, one of the grocery bags, and I cut it up and I laid it flat across my desk, where I basically do everything. I have my fish tank, which I'm obsessed with, my paintbrushes, my books, my puzzle books. I even eat dinner there a lot of times. This is where I spend probably 90% of my free time. And I started writing down every reality I felt that in the moment I could not face. The very first thing I wrote down was, I do not like sex. Then underneath that, I wrote, sex, sometimes the idea of sex, makes me feel special and intimate. Then underneath that, I wrote, I hate sex. And every time I would look at that sheet of paper, I would breathe. I continued to breathe until I got to an event that I had been looking forward to for several months, highlight of my year. The Taylor Swift concert. I was so psyched. I've been listening to T-Swizzle since I was 9 years old and jamming out to our song with my older sister. We had one of those flip video cameras, and we would make like music videos of us just like blasting You Belong With Me and like lip syncing. It's probably really bad. I don't want to find that flip camera. So here I am in the nosebleeds, decked out in my Taylor gear, and we're all singing along to everything she's putting out. And there are these 12-year-olds below me. And she starts singing the song Dress, which is one of her new, more risque songs. The 12-year-olds are singing, I only bought this dress so you could take it off. And I'm laughing. I'm thinking to myself, these 12-year-olds don't think that. They don't identify with this song. Why are they singing this song? And then I looked at me, and I thought, I don't identify with this song. I don't want anyone to take off my dress. I wear dresses because I like the way they look on me. And that was okay, I realized. I was me. I don't like sex, I decided in that moment. Breathing, singing ridiculously loud to this song that had all these flirty lyrics, and I was into it. I was winking, I was shaking my hips, I was doing like this all the time. It was really bad. But that was okay. I could sing this song. I could do anything I wanted with this song, and I didn't have to identify with it. And that was the moment that I realized I could be disabled. I could like the idea of sex. I could flirt with girls on the Her app. And I didn't have to like sex. In that moment, singing to all these songs that I'd known since I was 9 years old, I could breathe. I breathed, and I was okay.